You probably know what recycling is, but you may not have thought about why it's so important to recycle. It really comes down to the natural resources used to make that bottle, can, jar, carton, or paper. Where did those ingredients come from? And what do we risk by not recycling what we already have? I'm Rachel, back for another one of Keep Cincinnati Beautiful's virtual classroom presentations to teach you how the items we use every day are made and why it's important to recycle them. Let's start by talking about cookies. When we bake cookies, we need many ingredients, but where did those ingredients come from? Well, not the store, not really. They came from nature. The flour and sugar are from plants, the milk from a cow, and the eggs from chickens, whose milk and eggs then go to the stores and later arrive at your kitchen to mix together to create the cookies we all love. Just like the cookies that required ingredients that came from the earth, everything we use, everything, is made from ingredients too that also came from the earth. We call those ingredients natural resources. Natural resources are what we take from nature to make the products and things we use every day. Take a second and look around the room you're in. What natural resources do you see in this very room? Well, all around you are things you might not expect. Forests of trees, sticky oil, dozens of different kinds of rocks from deep in the earth, and sand from a beach were all used to make the products you see right here. Today we're going to look at some everyday items and discover what natural resources they're made from, how they were turned into these everyday objects, and why it's so important that we recycle them. There are two types of natural resources we're going to talk about today: renewable and non-renewable resources. Renewable means that ingredient from nature is infinite. We have more than enough to last forever, and that the earth can make more of it as fast as we use it. On the flip side, non-renewable resources are the ingredients that, if we aren't careful, we will use it all up or use it too fast that the earth can't make more. And once a non-renewable natural resource is all used up, it's gone forever. We are going to look at everyday items we can easily recycle here in Cincinnati. And remember, recycling means to take something old and turn it into something new. Instead of throwing it away to go to the landfill, we send it to another place where it's made into something new again. Today we're going to look at some everyday items that we can easily recycle here in Cincinnati. And remember, recycling means to take something old and turn it into something new. Instead of throwing it away to go to the landfill, we can send it to another place where it can be made into something new. One type of material we recycle in Cincinnati is paper. Paper comes in many forms like schoolwork, magazines, books, cardboard boxes, and more. But what is paper made of anyway? What natural resource gives us paper? Trees, of course! To make paper, trees are cut down from forests. Once they're cut down, the logs go to the mill where they are made into wood pulp. It doesn't look much like paper, does it? It's soggy and boogery and has a few more steps to go through. Most importantly, removing all the water so the paper fibers can weave together, making it paper we can write on. Trees are a great natural resource used to make paper and other things. But let's think, are trees a renewable or non-renewable resource? Well, we can grow more trees, of course, but we're cutting down trees faster than they can be replaced by new trees. A tree takes about 15 and 20 years to grow big enough to cut down and use. Humans cut down 15 billion trees a year and replant only 5 billion. At this rate, do you think that trees are a renewable resource? Nope, not the way we're currently using them. That brings us to why recycling paper is so important. Many trees are cut down from places like the Amazon rainforest, the Arctic, Asia, and even here in the USA. When these places lose trees, they are also losing important habitats for animals and other species. Trees provide lots of important roles in nature and for us. They give us oxygen to breathe, clean the air of carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. They also provide us with food like fruits and nuts. In hot summers, they give us and animals shade that helps the ground and earth stay cool. Everyone knows how important trees are. So by recycling paper products, it means that paper can be used again. That way we don't have to cut down so many trees to make new paper. Paper recycling is easy to do at home and at school. The next material we can recycle is metal cans. There are two types of cans. One is sturdy and often full of foods like fruits, veggies, and soups. The other is thinner and for drinks like sodas. Metal comes from nature and is a valuable natural resource for all sorts of things in our society. For each of these cans, there are two types of natural resources that are used to make them. Food cans are made from a material called tin. Tin is a rare metal without which we wouldn't have cell phones or even this computer you are watching this video on. Thank you, tin! Now, soda cans aren't as strong as tin cans because they're made of a different type of natural resource called bauxite. Bauxite is a rock that contains large amounts of aluminum. Metals like these aren't plucked from trees. They come from under the earth, where it takes millions of years for them to form. Finding those metal deposits takes a lot of work. When people dig underground to get to natural resources like metals, it's called mining. Mining is incredibly dangerous for people who work in them. Often these people aren't treated very well either. It also destroys the environment. To mine for metals, they have to do a certain kind of mining called strip mining, where they blow a giant hole in the ground that they make bigger and bigger, removing the soil and rock to find the metal deposits. Part of the process of strip mining damages the environment through soil erosion and decay, habitat loss, and nearby river and stream pollution. Once all the metal has been extracted, miners leave the pit and have to look somewhere else for new metal deposits. So, what do you think? Are metals renewable or non-renewable resources? No way! We are extracting them way faster than the earth can make more of it. Once it's gone, it's gone. If you were to throw a tin food can into the Ohio River today, it would still be there, floating around for more than 50 years. If you were to walk down the street, finish your soda can, and throw that can in the grass and nobody picked it up, that can could take 200 years to break down and go away. So by not littering and not throwing away metal into the garbage can, but instead recycling, that metal can be easily reused again and again to make new things. You can throw that soda can into the recycling bin today, and in just a week, it could be back on the shelf of the grocery store full of some other sugary liquid. All the while, you're helping to protect places like Australia and Guinea, places rich in biodiversity, but also have some of the last remaining bauxite deposits in the world. Plastic is a difficult material to figure out how to recycle. Rumpke, our local recycler, can't take just any plastic. Here in Cincinnati, we can only recycle plastic containers that are in the shape of a bottle or a jug. Whoa! Editing Rachel here. Since we recorded this video, Rumpke started taking plastic tubs too. Okay, back to the show. So that means soda bottles, detergent jugs, empty ketchup bottles, shampoo bottles, and more. Ask yourself, is this in the shape of a bottle or a jug? If the answer is no, it's gotta go in the trash. Where people have been shaping and using paper and metal for hundreds and thousands of years, plastic has only been around the last 50 years. That's because it took people a while to figure out how to make plastic from natural resources. That resource is oil. Our society is built on oil. Oil is what makes your family car go. It's what powers our homes and schools when we turn on the lights or plug something into the outlet. Oil is also the main ingredient of plastic. Like metal, it took the Earth millions, sometimes billions of years to make oil. Oil is what's referred to as a fossil fuel, and that should give you a hint as to what it's made of. Fossils! Well, kind of. Millions of years ago, when plants and animals died on the forest floor, they were covered by leaves, buried slowly by the soil. If the conditions had been right, they might have turned into fossils, but instead they were compressed, aged until all that was left was sticky liquid. Liquid humans later learned they could burn or turn into other things. So essentially, your water bottle is made of dead liquid dinosaurs. Cool! What do you think? Is oil a renewable or non-renewable resource? No way. There is only so much oil under our feet, and it will take the Earth hundreds of millions of years to make more. Once it's gone, it's gone. Getting oil is incredibly difficult, destructive, and risky. Oil deposits are found very, very deep in the Earth because they have millions and billions of years worth of soil between them and the surface. There are many processes that we develop to extract oil from the Earth. Oil wells, deep sea drilling, hydraulic fracking, and mountaintop removal, which is exactly how it sounds. Oil spills are common accidents that can happen during extraction and during transportation of oil. Oil spills devastate the environment and are rarely ever completely contained or cleaned up. Extraction is not the only problem with oil. As we burn oil and other types of fossil fuels, dangerous gases are released into the air. They're bad to breathe, and they're also responsible for something happening on our planet right now called climate change. The fossil fuel emissions create a layer around the Earth that act like a heat-trapping blanket, making the Earth warmer and warmer, creating worldwide temperature increases and permanent disruptions to our weather patterns. That's why it's important to reuse and recycle what we can and learn to find other sources for energy that aren't fossil fuels, like wind power, geothermal, and solar power that uses the sun's energy. The sun and wind will be around forever. That's why they're renewable energy. Throwing plastic away isn't even the end of its journey. If you were to litter plastic on the ground or in the ocean, whether it's a soda bottle, grocery bag, or a Happy Meal toy, that plastic will not break down and go away for between 500 to 1,000 years. Actually, they may never go away as far as we know. We have all seen pictures of how that plastic litter harms wildlife. Whether they get tangled in it or eat it, it can be deadly. There are some things we can do about that though. First, try to avoid plastic if you can. Remember, if you choose a soda can instead of a plastic bottle, that can be recycled an infinite number of times. Plastic can only be recycled once, maybe twice. Reuse things like plastic grocery bags or empty butter tubs. Lastly, recycle those bottles and jugs. The more oil we can keep in the ground, the better. Glass jars and bottles are another example of a material that we can recycle here in Cincinnati. Glass is amazing because it can be recycled over and over again and always be the same quality, just like metal cans. What natural resource do you suppose glass is made from? Hint, it feels great between your toes. Sand. Not very obvious, but true. Worldwide, we go through 50 billion tons of sand every year, making it the most used resource on the planet after water. You can find sand in foods, toothpaste, makeup, the screen of your phone, cement used to make sidewalks, and in the windows and walls of buildings. And perhaps you even ate or drank something out of a glass today. You can recycle many types of glass food containers, like pickle jars, jam and jelly jars, glass soda bottles, and pasta sauce jars. The only thing to remember is to make sure it's clean, and to take the lid off and throw it into the recycling bin separately, because that lid is made of metal. But how do microscopic rocks become clear, smooth glass, plus a million other things? Well, sand formed over millions of years of water and air eroding rocks and shells into tiny particles. Then humans came along, taking it from river and lake bottoms as well as beaches or dredging it from the ocean floor. Then that sand is transformed into glass when it's heated up to extremely high temperatures until it melts. The molten hot glob of glass is then mixed with a few other ingredients and formed into different shapes and colors to become the glass products that we use. Now, do you think that sand is a renewable or non-renewable resource? Well, not long ago it was renewable, but is now considered a non-renewable resource. This is for many reasons. First, it takes a really long time for erosion to make new sand. Second, with the increase in frequency of hurricanes and rising sea levels, it's causing many beaches and their sands to wash away. This increase in storms is due to climate change. Also, sand is a key ingredient in hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. Remember, that's one of the processes used to extract oil from the earth to make plastics. It's also important to know that harvesting sand through dredging, meaning they are scraping the floors of the ocean, lakes, and rivers, spoils those ecosystems that aquatic species depend on. If you were to litter a glass bottle, it could take 1 million years for the earth to transform it back into sand again. But luckily, you don't have to litter. You don't even have to throw glass into the trash can. By recycling glass instead, we don't have to take as much sand out of nature. We can just keep using what we already have. Cartons are a staple of school lunchrooms. Even if you're not in school, you probably come across cartons for milk, juice, and soups. Cartons are actually made from a material called Tetra Pak. There are 2 types of Tetra Pak. Both are made with about 75% paper, but the other 25% depends on what's going in the carton. If it's something that will expire quickly and doesn't need to be refrigerated, it just has a thin layer of plastic to help preserve it. If it's something that needs to be refrigerated, then it will have a thin layer of plastic, but also a layer of aluminum. Now, we've already reviewed the natural resources that make up Tetra Pak: paper, plastic, and aluminum, which were all non-renewable resources. Since Tetra Pak is a composite material, meaning that it's made of several different types of materials, it can only be recycled once, and it doesn't come back as Tetra Pak again. Instead, when it gets recycled, it becomes things like tissues, napkins, and toilet paper. Don't think about littering those cartons either. If you threw your juice carton on the playground and left it, it could be there for the next 5 to 10 years. So if you want the world to have more toilet paper, be sure to recycle those milk cartons. It will keep us from having to cut down more trees, and it will keep your bottoms clean. So let's remember our resources: trees, bauxite, tin, sand, and oil. What do all of these items have in common? They're considered non-renewable resources, which means once we have cut down, extracted, mined, fracked, or dredged those resources from nature, they're gone forever. But the other thing they all have in common is that the products they become are all recyclable. The more we recycle, the less of these natural resources we need to take from the earth. And remember, recycling is easy and free to most residents of Cincinnati. If you don't have a recycling bin at your home, you can contact the City of Cincinnati Recycling. If you live in an apartment building and are interested in getting bins and need help paying, contact Hamilton County Recycling. Find their contact information below in additional resources. With all of us recycling, we can keep our forests, beaches, mountains, and neighborhoods preserved, healthy, and beautiful.
These videos were made possible through the generosity of our donors. Special shout-outs to
Charles H. Dater Foundation,
the City of Cincinnati,
the Ohio's Arts Council,
the General Electric Community Service Fund,
the Kroger Foundation,
ELSA SULE Foundation,
Duke Energy.
To learn more about Keep Cincinnati Beautiful and all of our programming across the city, visit our website, www.keepcincinnatibeautiful.org. Learn how you can get involved, volunteer, and make this city beautiful by signing up for our newsletter or following us on social media. As a nonprofit, we thrive through the support of our sponsors and individual donors like you. If you would like to contribute to Keep Cincinnati Beautiful, click the donate link in the video description box below. Hey Rachel, you gonna share some of those natural resources?
No way. These cookies are non-renewable.
What?